And welcome everyone to this episode of Craze's Corner. The draft happened last week. We're here to go through the rookie ADP on Sleeper's platform, and we're going to tell you which picks we like, which picks we don't like. And I'm joined with Jeff and Will from Media. How are we doing tonight, guys? We excited with what your teams did in the draft?
Yes.
Sure, why not?
I have re-embraced and become a Seattle Seahawks fan all over again.
We're back.
You got to be a Giants fan.
We got a Giant on next episode. We're gonna break down picks 1 to 8 on this episode and break down picks 9 to 16 on the next episode. So go watch the other one if you haven't already. And today we're gonna start at the top. Will, you have the 101 in our Dynasty League. Right now, Ashton Jeanty is the 101 on Sleeper's mock. Running back 1, Las Vegas Raiders. Are you taking him at the 101? Yeah. I think that's the right pick. I think he's honestly, if anyone's going to be a steal at the 101, it's Ashton Jeanty. You're looking at a guy who goes into a great position. We've talked about this landing spot for a while. They were often mocked there. But with Pete Carroll, there really isn't that much competition. They did bring in Raheem Mostert. Not really concerned about him, and Zamir White also not really concerned there. So this is Jeanty's backfield. I see nothing but positives. Jeff, you're in on Jeanty as well?
Definitely. A little disappointed. I thought I would be getting him. Thought for sure those with the 101 and 102 would be going for quarterbacks, but I guess not. Not in this draft.
Not in this draft class. I don't think the teams realized that the quarterbacks weren't the greatest, and I think that we won't see those go too early. It is a double quarterback league essentially with the superflex, so quarterbacks do get pushed off the board. But second, we're still not in quarterback, is Omarion Hampton out of UNC ends up with the Chargers. I like this for Dynasty a lot more than I like this for redraft because they did bring in Najee Harris. I think Hampton's a better running back than Najee Harris at this point in their career. So I have the 102 in Ocean State's Fantasy Football League, and Hampton is probably going to be the guy I'm going to take. I like the landing spot with Harbaugh. I think this is a good long-term situation for him. So I think Hampton, to me, at the 102, I think is a value, and you take him. Jeff, what do you think about Hampton?
I totally agree. He couldn't have landed with a better team and a better coach that is going to use the quarterback. It is almost like Pete Carroll with Jeanty. And I'm not worried about Najee Harris. I really think Najee Harris possibly could end up being the third down back, after all is said and done. And I think Omarion Hampton is just going to be one of those guys that by week 4 is going to own that backfield.
Yeah. Will, you agree?
Oh, yeah. I'm high on Hampton. As soon as the Chargers announced that pick, I was like, there you go. That's with Harbaugh? Yeah.
Great value for them in the draft. And I like the pick for fantasy. I think he deserves to be the 102. The 103, though, Sleeper has Travis Hunter. Defensive back / wide receiver. The Jaguars announced him as a wide receiver, said they're going to install him on offense first, but he will get his defense. I'm nervous about Travis Hunter. We saw what Brian Thomas Jr. did last year in this offense, but he has to compete with Brian Thomas Jr. to be the wide receiver 1. So I'm nervous about that, and I'm nervous about in college he was barely practicing, and I don't think he can get away with that as much in the NFL. So I am nervous about the utilization for fantasy. If you have defensive scoring, I can see him being a really, really valuable pick. But if you don't, I would be passing on Travis Hunter at the 103. Will, what would you be doing with Hunter?
I think he's a first-round pick in Rookie Dynasty. I don't think he's 103, though.
Yeah.
Because you just don't know, right? Is he really going to be a wide receiver?
And if
it's a risk.
Plays wide receiver to start and then plays better on defense and wide receiver's not quite going well, do they kind of phase him out and put him?
Yeah. You can't use a dynasty pick top 5. Honestly, I think you can make the argument you can't use a first round pick on someone with that risk because you're wasting an asset that, he might hit, but if he doesn't, it could set you back.
Jeff, you're on the same page?
Yeah, there's too big of an unknown. If he's just going to be one of those guys that's a quote unquote weapon, to where he plays a good 60% on defense and they try to sprinkle him in the offense, or if he's going to, they're trying to build this narrative that he is going to be a full-blown wide receiver, which still doesn't excite me, with Trevor, because we still don't know if Trevor Lawrence is the problem. So, that's the other thing. And you've got a new head coach, although he is an offensive-minded head coach. I have never just truly looked at Travis Hunter as a wide receiver. He's always been a defensive back to me first. Yeah. He's an athlete. So, it's just too much unknown for me.
And then real quick for Jacksonville, okay, you make it a wide receiver. There's a cost difference between wide receiver and corner when you get to that first contract. So,
what is he going to ask for if he's playing all the wide receiver snaps and all the corner snaps? Like, what do you got to pay him double the salary or something like that? It'd be interesting. It'd be interesting. You could hit big if you get Hunter, especially if you're in a Dynasty IDP league. I think Hunter might be the, maybe the 102 because you get the both. But for now, I think you hold on Hunter, and we got Cam Ward at 4. Normally in superflex leagues, the quarterbacks are going 1, 2, 3, and 3. Yeah, sometimes. So this year, first one's coming off the board at 4. You're looking at Cam Ward. The Titans' offense doesn't really excite me. They have brought in a few pieces, but I'm still nervous for them. And then when you're looking at Cam Ward as a prospect, he would have been maybe my quarterback 4 or 5 in last year's draft class. So I think if you really need a quarterback, you're going to get a quarterback for probably 3 seasons with Cam Ward here. So it's a value pick, in my opinion. Like, you take him in superflex leagues, but I'm not overly excited about the prospects of him turning into a Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow type of elite fantasy quarterback. What do you think, Will?
Yeah, there's not one quarterback I'm really thrilled with in this draft.
Yeah,
to be honest with you. I like Cam Ward. I just not high on Tennessee, so I don't understand what the value is.
He's starting. That's the value in Superflex leagues. Is he'll be starting. He'll put up points. And in Superflex leagues, out of this draft class, that's all you can ask for as a quarterback, because he's the only one going into your starting right away position. So with that being said, you probably stick with Cam Ward at 104. If you need a quarterback, he's the only one you can really grab and count on. And then we got at number 5, Tet McMillan. He went to Carolina, which is probably the best spot he could have gone for. I am a Panthers fan, so I'm extremely excited about him in Carolina. I think he is the prototype wide receiver that Bryce wants. They've been practicing together all offseason already, so I think that the connection is going to be there. He doesn't really fit the mold of what they already had in Adam Thielen, so it's a perfect, combination with Adam Thielen, and I think that he'll be, to me, I think he's a value, even maybe a steal at 105. I would have him over Hunter and Ward, I think, in my opinion. So I like him. I like what he can do in this offense. He can be the number one, put up Mike Evans type numbers. So I like McMillan here. Do you guys both also like McMillan?
That was my comp, Mike Evans. So in Dave Canales' offense, I was just like, oh, that's why he was drafted. When they drafted him, I immediately was like, okay, that might be the top wide receiver on my board, because I know exactly how he's going to be used. And, they made a lot of steps forward with that offense, man. So, I'm thinking Bryce is going to be able to utilize him. He's getting things on the right track. So it wouldn't be a bad pick.
Yeah, they got the offensive line. As you said, Canales was in Tampa with Mike Evans, and he was also in Seattle with DK Metcalf. So when you look at that prototype wide receiver, I think McMillan with his size can fit that, and I think that's what Bryce Young needs. Will also in on McMillan here?
I'm with you, and I would have him 3 on this board, not 5.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's 3 to me, so at 5, I think he's a steal. You definitely take him. I would hope if you, in a 1 quarterback league, if he can fall to 4, again, super value. Then we got a couple running backs. We got Travion Henderson, who was higher on my board than the next running back, but he goes to New England. And I have very few rules in fantasy that I don't stray away from, and I do not draft New England Patriots running backs. So I'm out on Henderson, despite liking the talent. They have Ramondre Stevenson. They have Antonio Gibbs there in an offense that hopefully takes a step forward with Drake May this year, but is Henderson going to be that guy that's getting bulk of the work? I'm not sure. I think they could use all three running backs, and for fantasy, that scares me. With Ramondre Stevenson being paid in the past, and this team's propensity to just take running backs and bring more in, I'm out on Henderson at the 106. Are you either of you guys in on Henderson? Do you like his value at the 106? Or are you both hesitant?
Who is the offensive coordinator of the Patriots right now?
Josh McDaniels.
Exactly. So that did everything to put me out. That's probably 3 to 4 running backs that will be in every game. You never know which one will go ahead and hit pay dirt for you. So yeah, I was so upset and disappointed when they took Travion Henderson, man. I was like, well, there goes his value. He's shot in the foot.
I mean, I think he's still a first-round pick. I just don't think – I think if it's a 12-team league, he's 11 or 12. I mean, you can't let the talent go too far.
No, I agree. In Dynasty, you got to take the talent, but the opportunity isn't there. The team situation isn't there. So talent-wise, he would be a good spot in this pick if he went somewhere better. But yeah, I think you got to be hesitant. If you're drafting Henderson, hopefully you can stick him on your taxi squad for a couple of years, because I don't really think you're going to get super good value until at least Stevenson is gone out of there. Now we have a running back coming into some value who played on the same team as Henderson. Quinshawn Judkins was drafted by the Cleveland Browns early in the second round. I believe it was 36th overall. Clearly, they were higher on him than they were on Henderson. He comes in to fill what should be that Nick Chubb role. He should get all of the volume in Cleveland. I think he's a great pick at the 107 in a superflex league. I think that he had the talent. I had Henderson ranked over him, but now that he has the opportunity, I think that he's going to be able to get the volume. Even though they drafted Sampson in the later rounds, I'm not super worried about that, because I do think Judkins is better, and I like what we've seen. He's still super young. Jeff, are you in on Judkins in Cleveland, or are you, again, not really a team you want to get involved in?
No, I am, because I think he is Nick Chubb's replacement. Right now, he's the only real they have on that roster, and I think they got him for that. He was the bigger back out of the two at Ohio State. He was the pounder, so that's exactly what they're looking for on that team. That's what Nick Chubb was. So I think it's a great pick.
Will, you agree?
I'm south on Cleveland right now.
They got 5 quarterbacks on the roster.
I don't understand what they're doing. And it was the quarterback thing. Okay. The other running back, I'm like, really?
Yeah, they drafted 2 quarterbacks and 2 running backs within the first 5 rounds. Good job.
Okay.
Hey, it worked out for the Redskins a while ago, so we'll see.
Yeah, I guess, but they took RG3.
That's about quarterback. Right. I'm kind of mixed on the quarterback. The running back thing,
it's a mess.
Just kind of like, okay,
but that's what they do. They run more than anything,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, they'll have to, because their quarterbacks are terrible.
Exactly. Yes. So maybe they're going back to the wing. They're just going to go to the wing.
Wing offense.
That's why they're going to move Gabriel to running back.
Yeah, one more guy who would be perfect in the wing, Tyler Warren, who pretty much did everything at Penn State, goes to Indianapolis. Lots of people had that mocked. Lots of people projected that to happen. And I think it's a good landing spot for him. I think Steichen, they're going to use him good in Indianapolis. We'll see what happens at quarterback. Whether it's Anthony Richardson or Daniel Jones throwing in the ball, neither really excites me. But he should be a volume play with Michael Pittman out there in Indianapolis. At 108, he's got the talent and should have the opportunity. So if it's a tight end premium league like we're playing in, he's probably a good pick at 108. Jeff, what do you think?
If I had a more solid quarterback there, I don't trust Daniel Jones either, so I don't know. That's my thing. Just depending on, that's the good thing. He's one of those Swiss Army knife guys that Steichen will be able to find ways from he might be a fullback. There's a couple of things they might do, but I don't know. I might like the kid that went to Chicago a little bit better. I'm not sure.
Okay. Will, what do you think? You on the fence?
You know, the last two drafts, this draft and the year before, watching good guys get picked at what I don't think are optimal situations. So in Indianapolis, it's the quarterback. Chicago, it's you got a lot of mouths to feed. You know, I like Warren. I think in Dynasty Rookie, he's worth it because over his career, he'll probably pay off. I just think you got to be mindful that the expectations for this year might not be what you thought when you were drafting him.
Yeah, rookie tight ends historically haven't been great. Despite the last couple of years, we have had some good ones, but historically not ideal. But there are the first 8 picks in ADP. So we've run through those. We're going to go run through 9 to 16. So go check out the other show if you haven't already. Thank you, Jeff and Will, for joining me. And we'll see you again.